TMZ is reporting that Malcolm-Jamal Warner, probably best known for his role on The Cosby Show, has died. People report that the 54-year-old was in Costa Rica on a family vacation and accidentally drowned while swimming.
Actor Malcolm-Jamal Warner.
Breaking entertainment news, Malcolm-Jamal Warner has died.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, dead at the age of 54 on a drown.
The shocking news about Malcolm-Jamal Warner's sudden death has left the internet stunned. But now, new details are surfacing, and they're flipping the whole story on its head. At first, it was called a tragic freak accident, but behind closed doors, his family's been trying to keep some heavy info under wraps. Now, they're done being silent. Word is, Malcolm might not have just passed, he could have been targeted, and the timing? Way too suspicious to ignore. Sources say Malcolm gave some strange, cryptic warnings just days before it all went down. Reports are painting a picture of something way deeper than a random accident. This thing might have been planned. The truth is creeping out fast, and what really happened is about to explode into the spotlight. We're gonna break down the full story, but you decide for yourself, was this just a tragic accident or something way more sinister? People were in total disbelief when news broke about Malcolm-Jamal Warner's passing. There were zero warning signs. According to the official report, he drowned while swimming at Clay Beach in Costa Rica during a family getaway. Now, that beach already had a rep: strong currents, dangerous waves, and it's been risky for years. Reports even say those same wild conditions were there when Malcolm hit the water. But with all this new info, folks aren't buying the original story anymore. Local authorities say beachgoers jumped in to help when they saw Malcolm struggling in the water. But by the time Costa Rica's Red Cross showed up, it was too late. He was found unresponsive and soon after, declared dead. Cops were quick to shut down any rumors, calling it nothing more than a tragic accident, case closed. But hold on, this is where things start to feel shady. While the public was still processing the loss, Malcolm's inner circle was already questioning everything. Multiple sources say his family didn't buy the official version of events. They felt something was seriously off, and apparently, behind the scenes, they've been pushing for answers ever since. According to insiders, the way everything played out just didn't sit right with the family. They don't believe this was just some random accident. They're convinced there's more to the story, something way deeper that hasn't come to light yet. And what's really setting off alarms? The total lack of evidence or footage. Clay Beach isn't some hidden secret spot. It's a well-known public area. On any normal day, that beach is packed with tourists, locals, and people everywhere. So how is it that not a single person caught anything on camera? No videos, no blurry clips, not even a quick beachgoer post or a secondhand witness account of what went down that day or who tried to help. That's what's got people seriously suspicious. Sure, in a perfect world, folks would be respectful and not pull out their phones during an emergency. But come on, when has the internet ever stuck to that? Especially when a famous name is involved. Whether it's shock, clout chasing, or plain curiosity, somebody usually records something. So the fact that there's zero footage, that's got everyone raising eyebrows. Yeah, this isn't just odd, it's straight up suspicious. Malcolm's fans and even his own family are finding it harder and harder to believe this was just a tragic accident with no loose ends. And what's really making people side-eye the whole situation? The fact that no lifeguards were on duty when he drowned. The Caribbean Guard later claimed it was because of resource issues. But here's the catch. They also admitted that beach had been flagged for years as being dangerous. So why wasn't anyone posted up that day? And where were the warning signs saying no swimming if they knew the risk was that serious? Then right after the news dropped, they suddenly announced that they're putting resources back on that exact same beach, plus another one known for strong currents. That move felt way too convenient, like they were trying to cover their tracks. People are calling it out left and right, and that's not even the worst part. The timeline of what happened that day, total mess. Reports are all over the place. How long Malcolm was in the water, how many people actually tried to help, and when the emergency crew really showed up. Nothing lines up. These mixed up details are making people question everything. If this was such a clear-cut accident, then why can't anyone get the story straight? But what really took things to a new level was the timing of his death. Just 2 days before the drowning, Malcolm dropped what would be his final podcast episode called Not All Hood. In it, he opened up about real-life struggles, survival, identity, and pushing through stereotypes. And now, there's one quote that's giving fans chills. Black survival in itself is black excellence. That one line is hitting way different now, and has people wondering, was he trying to say something before it all happened?
Time, it made me think of black excellence in a different way. Black excellence now is attributed to fame and money. I'm looking into the story, the black survival in and of itself is black excellence.
Because we've always had to supersede, do better, and more things have been put in our way to cross over.
And see, the thing about it, I don't ever look at it as a subset. I look at it as special. Because excellence, white people mediocre, always have been. They don't have to try as hard.
Yeah, that message hits way harder now. For some folks, it doesn't just sound like a reflection, it feels like a goodbye. Or maybe even a warning, a final statement he might not have known would be his last. Or maybe he did. Either way, the timing is just too wild to ignore. And now it's become a key piece in the puzzle for everyone who refuses to believe this was just some freak accident. But here's the part that's really got people doing double takes. Malcolm wasn't just another celeb. He was known for speaking up, loud and clear, especially on topics like race, power, and identity. He didn't play it safe. He never sugarcoated things. In that same podcast episode, the one that's now being picked apart by fans and critics alike, Malcolm kept it raw. And in another interview, he straight up called out the mainstream media, how they twist the image of black men, how society keeps trying to trap them in boxes, and how draining it is just to survive while being constantly silenced. Now that's the kind of truth that doesn't sit quietly.
The name came from our third host, Wayusi Baraka, and the reason for the title is combating the narrative of black life, black culture that the media focuses on, and
that we're all one thing.
Yeah, and the whole concept is we're not all hood.
That kind of raw honesty earned Malcolm a ton of respect, but it might have also put a target on his back. Fans are already connecting the dots, pointing out some unsettling patterns. Outspoken black voices suddenly going quiet under strange or sketchy circumstances. And the way Malcolm passed so suddenly, it's starting to feel way too familiar. In that same podcast episode, Malcolm didn't hold back. He went in on how the media keeps pushing the same tired, one-dimensional hood story while completely ignoring the richness and complexity of real black life. He didn't just call it lazy, he said it's dangerous. In a powerful snippet, he explained how constantly showing only pain and struggle feeds toxic stereotypes that have boxed in black communities for generations. He was making it clear these images aren't just inaccurate, they do real harm. And now, with everything that's happened, people are starting to wonder if he struck a nerve with the wrong folks.
The focus is on, and
that we're all one thing.
Yeah, and the whole concept is we're not all hood. The black community is not a monolith. There's so many levels and lanes to the black community, and we wanted to have a space where we could acknowledge, discuss all of those lanes, because they're so varied in terms of our perspectives and our opinions and our ways of life, and we wanted to be able to have a place.
But what really struck a nerve was how Malcolm flipped the whole idea of black excellence. He didn't link it to fame, money, or flashy status symbols. Nah, he made it clear that just surviving in a world that constantly tries to erase you, that is the real meaning of excellence. His exact words, black survival in itself is black excellence. And now with the timing of his death, that statement is hitting way deeper than anyone expected. See, Malcolm's final podcast dropped just 48 hours before he passed, and fans aren't brushing that off as coincidence. Not anymore. That episode isn't being seen as just another drop. It feels more like a final message, a statement, maybe even a warning. And the whispers in the streets are only making things sound darker. Word is, Malcolm's own family doesn't think that podcast was random. The rumor, they believe he was using it to speak directly to certain people who might not have liked the truth he was putting out there, people with real power. And if that's true, then yeah, it raises a chilling possibility. Was Malcolm's silence for refusing to shut up To make it even more suspicious, there's still barely any solid info from the scene. The lack of footage, no clear eyewitnesses, no straight timeline, it's all just adding to the mystery. If this really was just a tragic drowning, why all the secrecy? Why so many missing pieces? For a man who spent his life speaking truth, it's wild how quiet everything suddenly got after he was gone. Where's the transparency? Who was really there? What actually happened in those final moments? This is where things start getting real hot, because according to the latest whispers online, Malcolm's family isn't buying the official version of events at all. Word on the street? They're now thinking about bringing in a private investigator to retrace his final moves and dig up the truth no one else seems willing to touch. Reports claim his family finds the whole thing beyond suspicious, and what's really got them side-eyeing the entire situation is one theory in particular, that Malcolm might have already been gone before he even hit the water. Nothing's confirmed yet, but insiders say the family suspects he may have been injected with some kind of slow-acting poison, something that wouldn't kick in until he was already at the beach. And if that theory holds any weight, it could explain how he ended up in the water without a fight. But here's where it turns from eerie to straight-up chilling. His daughter was with him. That detail alone has fans shook, and now people are connecting the dots to a much bigger pattern. There's been long-standing talk about what happens to outspoken black voices who refuse to play by the system's rules. The sudden accidents, the career sabotage, the breakdowns. It's a story we've heard too many times. They've brought up Nipsey Hussle, who was gunned down while pushing for black ownership. Dave Chappelle, who got dragged for walking away from a multi-million-dollar deal just because he wouldn't be controlled. And then there's Martin Lawrence. Back in May 1996, Martin was seen acting completely out of it, roaming a busy street in Sherman Oaks, armed, yelling at cars, and shouting wild things like, "They're trying to kill me." Fans believe he too might have been poisoned with something that triggered a total mental spiral. Now ask yourself, how many times does this have to happen before people stop calling it a coincidence? One witness swore they heard Martin shouting, "Fight! Don't give up! Fight the power!" as cops dragged him into the hospital. But what made the whole situation way more suspicious was how fast the media jumped on it, labeling him as troubled and hinting that he was probably on something. Just like that, they tried to write him off. But here's the wild twist. The doctors at the hospital immediately shut that narrative down. A spokesperson for the medical center came out and told reporters there was absolutely no trace of any substances in his system. None. So if drugs weren't involved and Martin was clearly terrified for his life, then what was really going down? Who or what was he running from? And that's a question fans still haven't stopped asking. As if things couldn't get more chilling, let's not forget about Angie Stone. She just passed away, and the circumstances, eerily familiar. She was in a tragic car crash, but here's the part that raised everybody's eyebrows. She was the only one who didn't make it out alive. That's got people seriously questioning what really happened. And just like Malcolm, Angie had been making waves before her death, throwing major shade at the industry. Word is, she knew way too much. Right before the accident, she posted something on Instagram that's now being viewed as a full-on warning shot. In her own words, she wrote, "I have just discovered something that's been hidden in the dark for too long by publishing what's stolen. And guess what? I know exactly who did it. But don't get it twisted. I'm coming for you. All the dogs who thought they could take what's mine, trust, I'm ready." Just like Jamie Foxx said, what had happened was, well, now it's my turn to share my testimony. It's a new chapter, and you can bet the truth is coming to light. Stay tuned. Now tell me that doesn't sound like someone who was about to blow the lid off something big. Fans saw Angie's post as a direct warning, a shot fired at powerful folks behind the curtain. And then, just days later, she was gone. Coincidence? Maybe, but more and more people are starting to think this ain't random. They're connecting the dots. And to a lot of folks, this feels less like a string of accidents and more like a pattern. A dangerous one that shows exactly what happens when someone refuses to play the game or dares to step outside the box. And that's why Malcolm's case is hitting so hard. He didn't fit the tragic star script. Unlike so many other child stars who got caught up in wild headlines or public breakdowns, Malcolm kept his life low-key. No drama, no mess, just real, meaningful work. He moved away from the sitcom spotlight and into spoken word, using his platform to speak truth, loud and clear. He tackled heavy stuff, mass incarceration, cultural erasure, and what it really means to live as a black man in America. It wasn't about clout, it was about truth. And according to his family, that's what made him dangerous. That's what made him a threat. They don't believe for a second that his death was just some freak accident. And now, the real question is, was this ever just about Malcolm? Or are we looking at something much bigger, a disturbing pattern that's been hiding in plain sight? Was Malcolm's death just a tragic accident, or part of something way bigger? A pattern where outspoken black voices suddenly face tragedy the moment their message starts shaking the system? That's the question now, and it's got everybody on edge. Malcolm wasn't out here chasing clout. He had a solid rep, a rising platform, and a message that was hitting deep. He wasn't just known for his legendary acting. He was becoming a voice that made people stop and think. And fans believe that final podcast, it wasn't just a show, it was the start of something major. And then, out of nowhere, everything fell apart. So now people are asking the hard question. Was Malcolm-Jamal Warner silenced right as he started speaking too loud? His family isn't letting this go. The podcast, the messed up timeline, the talk of hiring private investigators, it's all still out there. And one thing we do know, when families start digging, secrets never stay buried for long. This doesn't feel like the end. It doesn't feel like closure. It feels like a warning. And something deep down says, this story's just beginning. R.I.P. to Malcolm-Jamal Warner. If this shook you like it shook us, hit that like, subscribe, share this with your people, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We're not done yet. See you on the next one.